Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Joining me it's Ginge, joining me it's Noodlehead, and the first question comes from Game of Folklore, and he's asked who should replace Suarez at Barcelona. But first of all, matters must be settled. Who has the best Dele Alli celebration? Starting with Zach. What was that? Your fingers just
It's
came
all
out
about
at
it's
the
all
end.
about the end product, man.
You've absolutely bottled that.
It's all about the
right
end product.
there. Oh, that's not bad.
That's good.
That's not bad. Oh, that's good. That's
That's
smooth.
not too bad. Pretty smooth.
Smooth.
Jalab's was comfortably the worst.
Good rotation.
Yeah,
You
but
embarrassed yourself there.
longevity.
Anyway, this is stupid.
Vote
Let's
in the
dive
poll.
in to
Vote in the
Luis
poll.
Suarez. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, vote in the poll. Who has the least self-respect? Anyway, since Suarez's massive goal haul of 59 in 15-16, he's inevitably declined a little bit, but declined nonetheless. That is statistical fact. Now he's been involved in less goals, less shots, and created less chances and had less shots in the box more prominently consecutively in the past 3 seasons, which has led a lot of Barcelona fans to push the panic button. He turns 32 at the end of the year. A lot of people want to see him replaced. Okay? Joe, who would you go for first and foremost?
Well, firstly, it's a fact that they are chasing another forward. They definitely 100% want another forward. They
Yeah,
went
fair
for
enough.
He binned him off and signed a new contract.
Made a
Lefty,
film out
they
of it.
managed to get Malcolm in, and I'm sure they'll be delighted with Malcolm. I think he's a good addition for his age profile and at that price. Not amazing, but good. I think overall, Suarez has got another 2 seasons in him. I wouldn't be panicking as much as people are about this. I think potentially hold off. Any replacement you bring in is not going to blow Suarez out the water in terms of numbers, in my opinion. I would be targeting someone who could potentially play as a 9. I remember mentioning him in Sochi with a Barcelona link, and everybody battered me for this. Everybody said it's a ridiculous
Year and a half ago.
rumour. I said about, when did we win in Sochi? 2 years ago now?
Year
2
and a
years
half,
ago.
something like that,
Year and a half.
Confederations Cup.
I said, go for Martial, Barcelona. Go for Martial. They should have gone for Martial.
How much do you think he'd cost?
Now he'll cost more.
Yeah, then
Back
would be a
then,
lot cheaper.
They could have got him out cheaper, I think.
Really?
Maybe not. I don't know. That's a bit of a harsh one potentially. But I think Martial would be a great fit for Barcelona. I'd like to see him in a Barcelona shirt playing as a central striker. At United, I think he's better utilised on the left when he's running at players. But in a Barcelona team that has high numbers of possession in and around the box as a poacher, I think Anthony Martial would be fantastic.
See, I don't dispute the calibre of the player, but I sort of disagree because they've bought in Malcolm, because Ousmane Dembele looks like he might have the season of his life, and because it looks like Valverde is going to switch from that more conservative 4-4-2 to a 4-3-3 this season. Lined up against Sevilla in a 4-3-3 with Rafinha and Arta either side of Sergio Busquets, and then he had Messi on the right, which is, I think, where he profiles really well.
Yeah.
Ousmane Dembele on the left, which doesn't matter. He can use either foot, as we saw in the game as well. Absolute rocket.com. And Luis Suarez spearheading that attack. And he did miss some gilt-edged chances. Hopefully he starts the season better than he did last season, because I think it was 3 goals in his first 12 games, and that led to a lot of people, again, pushing the panic button. But I think that's what we're going to see. Obviously, take Rafinha out, take Arta out, put Rakitic in, put Philippe Coutinho in, and you have a pretty world-class starting 11 with options like Paco Alcácer on the bench, although he's been linked with a 25 million euro move away.
Paco Alcácer as Wolves or Everton written through him like a piece of Brighton rock, mate. In about 18 months, if he is not at Real Betis by the end of the window, I'll be shocked. He's that calibre. I'm not having him as a Barcelona player.
No, but he's not a bad rotation
He's
player.
absolutely fine.
What do you think, Zimone? Would you be replacing Luis Suarez at this point of the season?
No, I think people are just going over, they're just being silly right now, to be honest.
Silly.
Suarez, I think, as we said, has at least 2 years left in him. And if they want to change it up, then they've got Malcolm there who can, he's played predominantly on the right, but he could do a job in the middle. We've not really seen it. Maybe Valverde will give it a try. And maybe what they do is they put Messi to play a little bit deeper. They put him up top, they put Malcolm on the right, and they put Dembele on the left. Because Dembele, but then even in that game when he scored that goal, they were switching wings. He took the strike from the right side.
They were, but do you think when Philippe Coutinho and Arturo Vidal are both in the side, they're going to line up in the same way? Because I don't see how he fits Rakitic, Philippe Coutinho, Arturo Vidal, Sergio Busquets into a midfield 3. Who does he drop in that midfield 3? I'm presuming Vidal's going to be a bench option.
Well, I mean, if they go back they could go back to a 4-4-2 with Arturo Vidal slotting in, couldn't they? Rakitic back out on the right, Coutinho on the left, maybe more as a 4-2-2-2.
Then Dembele doesn't play.
Kind of thing.
Need him out.
No, but as I've said, we're just discussing options, aren't we? But I think Barcelona actually had a brilliant window, upgrading Paulinho with Vidal, getting rid of Gomes, Digne, and Yerry Mina to Everton. So to go back to the question that was put forward to us a couple of weeks ago, have Barcelona, who's had the strongest window in Spain? I think they rival Atletico Madrid.
I think they're a little chalk off Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid are deeper in the number 9 role than Barcelona are, but then Barcelona are deeper in the wide roles. I really like Atleti's forward option. I think Costa's going to have a blockbuster season. Costa, Griezmann, Kalinic, 3 great options up top. Thomas Lemar out wide. I just think Barcelona are slightly more stocked for wide options. What I'd be looking at if I was Barcelona as well is, how have they not got a decent number 9 coming through La Masia? I know we spoke about La Masia on last week's show.
So who's the last number 9 they're producing? Munir El Haddadi.
Yeah, where's he now?
He's still at the club.
Well,
no, he's left.
No, he went on loan to Valencia.
And he's back.
He went. I think he's been on several loans, but he is back. He played a couple of games pre-season, but I'm not sure how seriously Valverde is taking his inclusion. I think Rafinha might also be leaving, but Valverde has said, listen, if he stays, he's useful. I'll potentially play him. So if that's Rafinha's kind of stock in the team, then Munir will be way down here. Obviously, different sort of players, but they've got a really strong squad. Do you see any inclusions before the end of the window from either of the top Spanish sides? Real Madrid, Atletico, Barcelona, Valencia, Sevilla.
Maybe Barca could pick up another fullback.
Okay, interesting. What, left back maybe?
Left back or right back, to be honest.
Sergio
Roberto.
You've got Nelson Semedo.
True. But yeah, okay, right now they've got Jordi Alba on the left, and then who else goes there? Maybe Sergio Roberto does a job there, but he's not really maybe say you're starting left, but you want someone a bit more if you're Barcelona, a bit more higher calibre. Maybe you go for a Munier.
Their business is done. They're going to have a few more outs, I'd imagine. A bit more deadwood.
Who's going out?
Munier's not a bad shout.
Alcácer will leave this summer.
Munier's not a bad shout because having watched what the PSG's opening game is against Cayenne and the Super Cup win as well, Thomas Tuchel is going with youngsters at fullback, of whom I do not recognise. Because when he first came into the club, he said my fullbacks, who are Cazorla and Munier, weren't good enough, which was quite surprising. So maybe he is available.
Obviously, they're also heavily linked to Adrien Rabiot, aren't they, of PSG, who is obviously picking up more of a fuss. But then if they bring Rabiot in, to me, I'm imagining Tuchel's letting him go because he's a problem there. Barcelona are probably seeing him as a replacement in the long term for Sergio Busquets, I guess, in a slightly more deep-lying midfield role, because surely they're not expecting him to be a progressive midfielder with Arturo Vidal there, Philippe Coutinho there, Ivan Rakitic there, Arthur there.
Cayenne, he was leading the press.
So he's definitely not coming in then, because where does he fit in that midfield? Because Arturo Vidal, Coutinho, Arthur, Ivan Rakitic all want to be more progressive midfielders.
I suppose people like Rakitic and Busquets played an awful lot of minutes last season, so I guess the rationale for bringing in Vidal is that they're going to rotate a little bit more because they did tire towards the end of last season and it cost them big in the Champions League, didn't it? So I think that does make sense, especially losing 10-goal Paulinho as well. Arturo Vidal, 6 goals, 2 assists in 1,400 minutes last season. So while he wasn't all fit all that often, he's pretty decisive when he was. I'm going to stick by my guns. I think Barcelona have had probably the best window in Spain. Do you see any Real Madrid bringing anyone else in? We touch upon this briefly in Sunday Vibes. So
we do in Sunday Vibes. We say he needs a striker, but I just don't think he's going to have enough time to get the calibre of player he wants through the door. But yeah, if you want to find out more about that, watch Sunday Vibes on Sunday. Shop.
There we go, on that bombshell. Moving on. Next question comes from Espanol Eddie, and he's asked, what do you think of La Liga having regular season matches abroad in the USA? This is a new development, isn't it? Will other leagues follow suit? I mean, the Premier League tried to do it 10 years ago, and Richard Scudamore was sort of laughed out of the building, wasn't he, by fans? They wanted to play a 39th game in the Philippines, I believe. Pretty lucrative, but it was adjudged not to have been in line with sporting integrity. What do we see to this? So it's a joint venture between US promoter Stephen Ross and La Liga. Stephen Ross is the billionaire owner of NFL team, the Miami Dolphins. Okay. It's a 15-year deal, so there's going to be 15 games in Spain over the next 15 years, like I just said. First game could happen as early as this season, Joe. What do you make of it?
think it's a move La Liga have had to make. I think their hand has been majorly forced by the Premier League. The Premier League is a commercial behemoth, and it is battering every other league in the world right now in terms of revenue. I think there was a report by Deloitte who said that the revenue the Premier League made was 86% greater than any other league, and I think La Liga was actually coming in second. So Serie A and the Bundesliga, Liga, are going to be scrambling even more than La Liga. They've done this because they want to appeal to the American market and to a bigger market than they're currently appealing to. I don't have a problem with it. I think that it should be fun for the people in Spain. I've actually been and seen the NFL games that have happened in England. I think it's a great spectacle. It's brilliantly put on. I actually went to see Stephen Ross's team, the Miami Dolphins, play at Wembley, and I've seen them play at Twickenham. It's just really, really fun. That day out's great. And if they can get a little bit of that same sort of energy around them in America, I imagine it's going to be Real Madrid or Barcelona playing nearly every single game, and it'll probably be Real Madrid or Barcelona versus an Eibar, somebody like that. Not a massive game to start with. I'm sure there will be an El Clasico 10 years down the line, but to start with, it's going to be a fun affair, including Real Madrid, that happens once a season and brings in a massive amount of revenue.
I think Rubiales actually said an El Clasico would never be played outside of Spain. I think to maybe placate the fans who are like, well, if you take away our biggest fixture, if you take away the jewel from the crown of Spanish football, then that is a piss take. That is El Loco. What do you make of it? Are you a big fan?
I think it's absolutely fine. I don't think it's that much of a problem with it. I think, say, for an Eibar fan, say it was your home game that wasn't against Real Madrid and it was in America, I don't think that's the worst thing either, because...
But if you're an Eibar fan, right, and you've paid for a season ticket, and
we should maybe stop using Eibar as an example. They've got 7,000 fans.
Okay, so
Espanyol.
Espanyol. Let's say you're Espanyol and you are a season ticket holder. The game you look forward to every single season is probably Real Madrid or it is Barcelona. That game you no longer get to see. I don't even know whether I'd be renewing if I couldn't get to see that. It depends how much you love your team. That's a massive issue for local fans. And if it starts with one team, let's say Espanyol lose one game a season, when the Premier League grows next year, which it will, I think last year it grew 25% in terms of revenue. If it grows next year another 25, the year after that another 25, La Liga will be scrambling even more, and then it goes to 2 games, then it goes to 4 games. Suddenly you start to lose ground. It's being played as a worldwide league.
Say, with Espanyol, whenever is your club being promoted in the likes of America? Where your club isn't that global.
Do you care as an Espanyol fan?
Well, you should, because that will bring your club more money and stuff like that. If people from around the world are recognising you and they're buying your merchandise, they're going to support your club in America.
I already don't know. I don't know about the sporting integrity behind this. I'm not entirely convinced. There is a massive Hispanic community out there, so it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? It's like there's a diaspora, there's a ready-made audience for it, and you can, if you're an MLS fan, you can see this benefiting you, massively if it generates huge interest, if it gets kids into the game, if I suppose all those sorts of angles. But oh man, I'm not sure.
I mean, from a revenue point of view, it's a great play by La Liga, but from a local fan perspective, I think it's a mess. I think in a few years, if they're still scrambling, you're going to start seeing games being played in Asia, then you're going to start seeing games being played in Africa. I think they'll have to become worldwide. Like, if from a revenue point of view, it makes total sense. From a fan's point of view, it makes none.
It could be the beginning of the European Super League.
It could be, mate. I mean,
quite possibly could be.
No word of a lie. That is the revenue behemoth that is waiting to overtake the Premier League.
But then this is the thing with the Premier League. I find it could overtake it, but the Premier League obviously has what makes it so attractive. Is you never know who's going to win.
So imagine a European Super League with all of the top teams.
Yeah, that would probably overtake it, because then it is globalised as well, because then it's not located in just one country, and they would have to be played
It'd be horrifying.
everywhere.
Vile.
The money in that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be awful though. It'd be awful.
Would it though?
Yes.
We enjoy the Champions League every single time it's on.
Because it's a one-off, you get to still see your team play in England every other week. Imagine not being able to see Chelsea for 8 months of the season because they're playing in Hong Kong.
As a Celtic fan though, I was totally behind the idea of a North Atlantic League. Like, as someone who has to watch subpar football week in, week out.
Lots of Hearts on the weekends.
Yeah, good one. That was last weekend. So. Interrupt me.
Still fuming.
Talking about Kyle Lafferty.
Asking about the Champions League.
Never mention Kyle Lafferty on
UK
ever again. Yeah, but as someone who has to watch that brand of football, I was behind the North Atlantic League, which is basically stitching together the Dutch league, the Portuguese league, the SPFL. The Premier League fans like have it and have it like wonderfully well, but that is going to cause a backlash at some point, and this maybe is the rest of the top 5 kind of drawing first blood, so to speak. But the Premier League, I think the latest TV rights deal actually plateaued. I think it actually went down 0.7 bill. So I think TV money is maybe going to stabilise to an extent, because there was a big jump. I think it was from around 3.5 bill to over 5 bill for a sort of 4-year deal. So maybe we're just at the peak now, and it might settle. It like I said, it might plateau for 5-10 years.
Market stabilises.
And the rest, giving the rest the ability to catch up and the time to catch up. But it's interesting.
Is the digital aspect of that counted in TV rights?
So the digital rights for the Premier League at the moment aren't sold. So the digital rights are presumed within the TV rights.
Okay.
However, what happened last week was La Liga sold its first ever digital rights package to Facebook in India. So that might just be a little bit of a test the waters campaign there.
Because Ronaldo's first game for Juve as well is going to be on
11 Sport, but that's just a free-to-air, basically a PR piece for their TV.
And it's interesting that Amazon have weighed in, bought 10 Premier League games around Christmas. They have secured one of the packages. So you'd imagine if these sort of companies are going to get involved and football, the Premier League becomes more accessible around the world, then that might counteract the actual physical act of moving the game.
For sure.
So these things might just cancel each other out. I don't know. It's a lot of there's a lot of stuff to consider. We want to know your thoughts on it. Get them in the comments below. Mind-boggling. Quickfire questions time, lads. First one comes from Jamie Wilkes 134, and he's asked, which commonly used phrases by the media/pundits irritates you the most?
Ooh. For me, it's, he needs to concentrate more on his football, less on social media or his haircuts. That does my head in. Oh my God, it's actually started to infect Benjamin Mendy recently as well. Makes no difference whether he's sending a tweet, as long as he's training hard and concentrating on match days and really putting his everything into the game. Why does it matter whether he's better than you on social media?
Do you know what? If Pep Guardiola's all right with it, you probably should be too.
Wake up.
Big bold.
Mine's when they generalise players, so it's like a tall black midfielder. It's Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
It's the next Paul Pogba. No, it's not.
Box to box, very athletic.
Just
come on, you're better than that. Yeah,
Lazy.
it's ridiculous.
I think they're two good ones. I don't need to chip in. Next one comes from Tom Galazzo, and he's asked, which failed wonder kid of your favourite club did you like the most? I was convinced at one point that Aidan McGeady was the best player in world football.
He did the McGeady
spin. Oh my God, twinkle toes galore. There was montages on YouTube comparing him to early Ronaldo, and I was convinced they were justified. However, didn't fare that well in Russia, did okay, and we sold him for $9.5 million, came back, played for Everton, wasn't so good in the Premier League in his late 20s, probably passed it by then, and I think he ended up at Preston.
Yes, Aidan.
He's definitely at Sunderland.
So not the end of
But he did
his
have a
career
FIFA skill name.
that
He
I
did.
envisaged. Yeah, he did.
The McGeady
that
spin.
little.
The
You
McGeady
can't
spin.
see it. My feet are down here. I can't do it either. What about you boys?
Josh McEachran was always sad. He was the first one of a huge lot. Ruben Loftus-Cheek possibly
many?
soon.
Josh
Who knows?
McEachran's a good shout.
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount. He's
Wallace.
still young,
at
wonder
it,
kid.
mate.
Yeah,
Bang
I'm
at it.
predicting them right now. Who knows right now? Honestly.
Mine was 100% Paul Pogba. When Paul Pogba was like 60, he's actually turned out. He's not a failed wonder kid, by the way, but he kind of failed at United,
Morrison.
didn't he? No, Ravel Morrison. He was always just a dickhead. But Paul Pogba, when he left Man United, I was heartbroken because I was like, he didn't quite make it. But other than that, Kiko Makeda. Kiko Makeda, when he bagged
my God, my
against
roommate at
Villa,
university,
mate.
who was just as deluded as you, also Manchester United fan, tried to tell me that Danny Welbeck and Kiko Makeda would be the spine of your team.
I mean,
for
Kiko
years to
Makeda
come.
was always terrible, though. Kiko Makeda was always useless. But he scored the one goal against Aston Villa to win us the game after that free ball by Giggsy, and he was immediately better than anyone I'd ever seen.
Him and Welbeck always falling over.
Oh, God,
immediately
yeah.
after scoring.
Do you know Danny Welbeck, though, on his debut as well, scored an absolute fucking scorcher. Go and watch Danny Welbeck's debut goal. I think it was against Sunderland, top bins from about 30 yards out.
You know, everyone off that era in the Manchester United setup, maybe who didn't quite make it into the first team, because obviously there's not a lot of them, but people who kind of fell out to your Sunderlands, to your Evertons or whatever, always talk about Danny Welbeck in the academy. They say like he was good, he was no Danny Welbeck though. And I think maybe injuries probably robbed Danny Welbeck of a much better career. Respectable nonetheless. Right, next question from Ali Abdullah, BHR, regular contributor, big up yourself. He's asked, which is the worst side to ever win the Champions League, to ever win the Champions League in the last 20 years?
You guys say Chelsea, and I'll kill you.
This is a really hard
Chelsea
question, man,
2012, Porto 2004.
Chelsea 2012,
Liverpool
mate.
No, it was written in the
2005.
stars.
Jimmy Traore.
Yeah, the
Say
team
no
was
more.
howling for Liverpool in 2005, but the actual way they won it has to be up there. Chelsea's was pretty awful.
No, what do you mean? It's written in the stars.
I mean, it really was.
We came back from against Napoli, amazingly, Ivanovic. Then we beat Barcelona.
Oh, what, when the senior pros got Villas-Boas fired?
Ah, that's fine.
What a club.
Nah, we don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
And then we smashed Barcelona at the Nou Camp, played defensive football. Fernando Torres!
What do you mean you smashed Barcelona? They smashed you and you robbed them on the break.
Football's a beautiful game.
But other than that, Porto, what a dreadful side that Porto team was to watch.
Oh, I mean,
to watch
the brand
it,
of
mate, it was
football maybe
horrendous.
not, but that team robbed Celtic of the UEFA Cup the year before. We were the much better team in the final.
They're horrifying.
People will back this up at home because I guarantee everyone's watched it. A classic. Henrik Larsson, 2 headers. Oh my God, what a player deserved to win. Did win the Champions League 2 years later, so fine. Anyway, who's your worst team? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for this week's Continental Club. Should we go straight into the end board? I think so. Brave. Is that what else is on Eurofootball Daily that people should watch?
Tomorrow, Stat Wars, the Champions, Season 2, the finale. Who knows, at the end of this, you might even get a little bit of a trailer for it.
Ooh.
Oh!
That was an odd noise, wasn't it?
FDFC.
FDFC, new games are coming. We've just entered a league. We played our first game on Wednesday. Can't reveal the result. And also, tomorrow, the Football Social is back. 3 p.m, 2:45, they go live. The boys are in the studio watching all the 3 o'clock kickoffs, so make sure you go over and join them and leave a comment.
Bye.
No!
Yes! Yeah!
2 people, same account. Weird. Probably old.
Not Adam Johnson.
No. Less said about him, the better.
Lots of guys, hair loss can be a real worry.